Anna looked pale at the fortune teller's comments. I already know everything. She pulled out a picture of her spouse to show the teller. Before we go any further, please let us know where city you are watching this video from in the comments section. Have fun listening. Although her life appeared perfect on the outside, Anna lived with a profound emptiness in her heart. A joyful work that was thrilling. She enjoyed a lovely and comfortable home with her devoted husband, Mikhail. However, she was without the one thing she valued most, kids. She was almost 36, and this dream was fading away like a vanishing mirage. There were no results after years of futile attempts and incessant trips to the doctor. Mikhail was healthy too, but the long-awaited miracle that was meant to fill their house with children's joy never materialized. The exam steadfastly repeated, "She is healthy, her body is capable of giving life." Anna resorted to herbalists, witch doctors, and folk healers in desperation, but their hopeful assurances vanished into nothingness. Her dreams were unfulfilled as time passed inexorably. In the shadows of an autumn evening, Anna ran into Olga, an old acquaintance from school who shared girlish secrets with Anna. During a cup of tea, the talk suddenly became magical. Olga, who had bright eyes, described an enigmatic elderly woman from a nearby village. They said that this woman had the ability to see the invisible, foretell the future, and provide assistance in the most dire situations. Her reputation was particularly appealing because she did not charge for her services. Olga convinced Anna to accompany her since she was adamant about seeing her. Anya, why do you need this? Anna was taken aback and gave her pal a puzzled look. Everything is yours. A house, a spouse, 2 amazing kids, and a true paradise. What are you missing? Olga turned her head away. Anxiety cast a shadow on her features. She hesitated, then mutely admitted, Anya, you see, I think Igor has a partner. My heart cannot be tricked, even when he denies everything. I want to test my suspicions and find out the truth. I beseech you, come with me. What's at stake for you? Anna considered it. She chose to fight skepticism and a feeble transient uncertainty in her spirit. All right, we should try. Next week I'll be able to take a vacation. Fantastic. Olga became alert. We'll go together, and I'll take a day off as well. When she got home, Anna told Mikhail about her intentions and Olga's misgivings about her husband. Mikhail, who is often composed and encouraging, reacted violently and abruptly this time. His voice grew rougher and his brows wrinkled. Anna gently disagreed, attempting to calm his annoyance. Anya, how much longer can you trust these charlatans? They'll tell you lies, promise you mountains of gold, and you'll again have empty hopes. It's pointless, believe me. But Misha, I have nothing to lose, she said. What if this woman is truly able to assist? Mikhail let out a weary sigh. His eyes became icy. I firmly oppose it. If you're curious about my viewpoint, these individuals simply cause confusion, and you women believe all they say before coming to us with fresh insights. However, if you must go, do so. Do as you please. He got up suddenly from the couch and entered the other room without a word. Anna was surprised by his response and sat silently. Mikhail had never opposed so vehemently and had always been tolerant with her ideas, even the most outlandish ones. Anxiety stabbed her heart. She thought, something is wrong here, and then an idea came to her. I should take his photo with me. Like a premonition, this thought lingered in her thoughts, heightening the drama of the adventure that lay ahead. Tuesday, the day she and Olga had decided to leave, was eagerly anticipated by Anna. Hope replaced the joy. Yet something inside her seemed to tell her that something was wrong. She even considered declining, but she changed her mind at the last second. She made a self-promise to herself that she would only ever see this grandmother. Anna was picked up by Olga on Tuesday morning, and they traveled to the village. The house they required had a large number of cars and people parked there. Anna was taken aback. She had never witnessed such a rush before, even though she had driven to similar locations. They positioned themselves in line and started to wait. They conversed with others as they waited. According to one parent, when doctors had given up on his kid, this grandma helped him get back on his feet. One lady described how, with her assistance, she was able to bring her husband back into the family. She was thanked by another expectant mother. For 7 years she was unable to conceive, but the grandmother, Aunt Nadia, assisted her. Maybe this is all a setup? Maybe they are telling fairy tales on purpose. Anna pondered as she listened, but she questioned them directly, and they didn't make her tell stories. Anna found the story of the wanted pregnancy quite moving. At the age of 8, she attempted to conceive herself. Listen, Anya, what do you think? Is this a setup? I have some doubts, Anna said. She doesn't take money, Olga said. What's the point? Anna hadn't given it much thought. She decided and became a little more composed. Okay, I'll see what she says about me, she said. Now it was their time. Olga followed them into the home. Aunt Nadia appeared to be a slender woman in her 70s, small in build but with a sharp eye. Anna would always remember her eyes. Aunt Nadia pointed to Olga and said, "You wait outside, then come in." She was in dire need of assistance. She gestured toward Anna. "Let us solve your difficulties, darling." Anna stared with shock at this frail woman. She had a strong desire to trust in her own power for some reason. She entered the room and took a seat in the designated chair. Despite the heat outside, she was trembling a little from excitement or the chill of the room. Taking Anna by the hand, Aunt Nadia sat down across from her and discreetly observed her, seemingly observing her. Anna awaited her next words. "You are so beautiful but so unhappy," Aunt Nadia said, adding, "Honey, if you had come to me 5 years ago, you would have had 2 children by now." Anna was about to protest, but Aunt Nadia stopped her with a raised hand. "Would you like to demonstrate the opposite? It won't function. You may have a husband and a home, but that doesn't mean you're happy. Despite your friends and family, you feel incredibly alone. Although you are intelligent, life is more difficult for those who are similar to you. Nobody needs your difficulties and you go through all of your loved ones' worries. Nobody is interested in what's on your soul. No one assists you even if you are willing to help everyone. Nothing is given back to you in exchange for your warmth. The one person who could relate to you and was willing to assist is no longer with us." Anna started crying and Aunt Nadia stopped talking. She wept hard, as though the tears were coming from her heart rather than her eyes. It was all true, but no one had ever told her such a thing. She was always helping people, but when she needed assistance she heard the words, "Anya, you are strong. You can handle it yourself." Her buddy Dmitri was the only person in her life who understood her need for support and attention, at least verbally. After 15 years of friendship, he passed away. Anna felt as though she had lost a piece of her heart and soul when he left. No one was nearer to her. He never made any indication that he loved her. Instead, he was always there for her. She was both warm and sad when she thought about him. Anna started crying as Aunt Nadia gave such a detailed account of her situation. She knew then that she would remember everything the woman said, regardless of what she said next. Aunt Nadia went on, perhaps listening to her thoughts. "Remember, he helps you from there too. He is always there. You may merely talk to him when you're feeling very down. Let's deal with your present issues now. You want a kid, but you can't become pregnant." Anna agreed. It dawned on her abruptly that she had not spoken to this woman at all, not even her name. "I will assist you, but remember that you will have to decide whether or not to rescue the family as soon as you become pregnant. The course of your life will be determined by you." At last Anna was able to speak. "What is meant by choice? My spouse is good. He adores me. He does. He likes other women though." In actuality, Anna had similar feelings, but she suppressed them after seeing her husband's treatment of her. Although she thought of them as her fantasies, it turned out that they weren't just that. Aunt Nadia waved her hand at her as she pulled out a picture of Mikhail. "Since I can see everything, I don't need his picture." It was as like someone had taken the support away from Anna, and she felt her heart tighten with painful sadness. She had devoted years of love and confidence to Mikhail, her Mikhail, and she longed so much to think that he was true to her. In a turbulent sea of uncertainty, she held on to her dream like a life preserver. However, Aunt Nadia's comments broke her illusions like a chilly wind. She made a concerted effort to suppress the tears that welled up in her eyes, but her lips' devious twitching revealed how much sorrow she was feeling. The elderly woman's penetrating eyes appeared to look straight through her, so she dropped her gaze out of fear. With a voice full of practical knowledge, Aunt Nadia continued quietly, as though she had heard every unsaid thought and every ache in Anna's heart. Her voice was both harsh and consoling. Baby, a lot of guys are unfaithful to their spouses. That is life's reality. On the side, ladies also occasionally look for comfort. You know what's crucial, though? What's in your house and family. Perhaps it is worth forgiving his shortcomings if he shows you love and respect, if he takes care of you, and if he doesn't let his rudeness or lack of concern affect you. I promise you, living alone isn't sweet. Even when there are many of people around, there remains a loneliness that eats away at the spirit. Anna gazed at Aunt Nadia with her eyes up. She spoke in a way that seemed both honest and intensely intimate, as though the elderly woman was disclosing her own suffering that was concealed by the passing of the years. Traces of the losses she had endured were visible on her wrinkled face. For a split second, Anna believed Aunt Nadia was discussing herself, her history, and her decisions. But she was frightened to sever the brittle bond that had grown between them, so she dared not ask. Rather, she simply nodded in silence, taking in every word as if it were rain on dry soil. As though knowing Anna was prepared to hear more, Aunt Nadia gave her a little glass bottle containing a black liquid. She continued, "Here, take this decoction," and her voice grew softer. She then produced a second, smaller bottle and placed it in Anna's shaking palm. "You can drink it for a week without missing a day, and within 3 months you will become pregnant." Putting it into the tea her spouse was drinking. "These are only herbs, so don't be alarmed. They will remind him that you are the rightful owner of his heart." As Anna gazed at the vials, a mixture of hope and thankfulness flooded her breast. Her tear-filled eyes spoke for her even though she was unsure of how to articulate all of her emotions. The words lodged in her throat as she tried to speak. Instead, with the intention of leaving at least a small thank you, she unlocked her bag and pulled out her purse. However, Aunt Nadia put her thin hand over hers and stopped her firmly but kindly. She answered, "No need, child," with such firmness that there was no place for debate. "I'm not taking anything, but take my advice and let it stay with you. Don't hold your burdened spirit inside. If necessary, cry or shout, but don't keep the suffering within. It weakens the heart. Everything will work out for you, my love. Keep in mind that you are your own mistress. The only person who can determine your fate is you." The earnestness with which these remarks were delivered resonated deep inside Anna's being. She finally felt the tears that she had been suppressing for so long come out. She moved forward and embraced Aunt Nadia, keeping her frail body close to her, unable to contain herself any longer. There was more than appreciation in the embrace. It was a recognition that this woman, a complete stranger online, knew her loneliness and suffering better than anyone else. Anna said, "Thank you," in a whisper. Tears were trembling in her voice. "Thank you, Aunt Nadia, for everything. I will never forget what you have done for me. Yes, if I ever need your assistance again, may I come to you?" Aunt Nadia withdrew, gave her a little grin, and shook her head. "You can, of course, darling, but do you realize what I'm saying? You are no longer in need of my assistance. You can now handle anything on your own. You underestimate your strength. Just keep in mind not to discuss our chat with anyone. This is your narrative and you ought to remember it." Wiping away her tears, Anna nodded and gave the elderly woman another embrace while muttering words of appreciation that didn't seem to fully express how deeply she felt. A tiny but tenacious flicker of hope ignited inside her as she walked out of the room. She wasn't merely given the potions by Aunt Nadia. She believed in her own abilities and her capacity to alter her fate. And like a priceless amulet, Anna held her heart close as she took this gift with her. Anna went to the car to wait for Olga after leaving the home. Olga Bazumalku talked about her talk with Aunt Nadia on the way, never once inquiring about Anna's experience. She believed once more that no one was interested in her issues. Her spouse didn't inquire and she didn't tell him either. After diligently consuming the infusion for a week, Anna surreptitiously added some to Mikhail's tea. She returned to work after 2 weeks, and the routine helped her temporarily forget her problems. 2 months later, she discovered she was expecting a child. In the restroom, there were usually many tests. She chose to take a test in the morning after seeing that her menstruation was almost 10 days late on the calendar. She sat down on the floor and wept joyfully when she saw 2 stripes. She requested a time off from work and an appointment with the doctor over the phone. She flew on wings rather than walking. The pregnancy was verified during a visit to the physician, when her long-cherished wish came true. Anna's heart pounded with happiness. Her feet almost touched the floor as her spirit sang. She was eager to share her happiness with Mikhail in the evening. She desired to see his joyful eyes and hear his voice as he promised them a new chapter in their life. As if swept by the wind of optimism, she hurried to his office with this notion. She hurried along the hallway, oblivious to everything around her. After flying up to the 3rd story, Anna halted as if she had slammed into an invisible wall, as the office door suddenly opened without a knock. Her entire existence fell apart in a moment. A little girl sat on the lap of Mikhail, her spouse, who was her support system, with her arms slackly encircling his neck. Her chest was penetrated by a cruel, piercing pain. The air grew thick as Anna felt the blood drain from her face, as though breathing were impossible. Her eyes, which only a moment before had been bright with joy, were now obscured by a shroud of treachery. Her voice, treacherous and shaking, only managed to push out a garbled sound when she tried to scream. I didn't get involved too much. Mikhail trembled. A look of terror warped his face. He leaped out of his chair and gave the girl a hard shove, as though she were only a bothersome annoyance. No, it's not what you expected, Anechka. Although his voice sounded frantic, it was an attempt to make apologies rather than an act of sincerity. No. Anna gave a sour grin. The venom of disappointment permeated her words. Mikhail, what is this? Tell me whether it's really that innocent. He mumbled. This is a mistake, as though the truth were searing in his eyes. There was an eerie quiet as the girl, whose presence was like a knife in Anna's heart, gave Mikhail a perplexed look before rushing out of the office without a word. With his hands extended toward his wife, Mikhail took a step toward her, but Anna reflexively pulled away. Between the love she had so diligently guarded and the agony that now threatened to ruin all, her spirit was divided. Anechka, my dear, I swear I don't need anyone but you, he pleaded. His voice faltered. It wasn't serious. Ignorance. Not much more. You are aware of my affection for you. The words she had uttered to Aunt Nadia, spoken with such assurance that it seemed as though the elderly woman had foreseen her fate, suddenly came back to her. You will have to decide whether or not to keep the family together when you become pregnant. The course of your life will be determined by you. Anna tried to quiet the raging within of her by closing her eyes. She recalled how she had pushed away the idea that Mikhail had cheated on her, how she had persuaded herself that her suspicions were unfounded. Now, however, the harsh and bare reality was in front of her. She gazed at her husband's face, which she adored, and his eyes, which she had previously thought were the most honest in the world. Her eyes then moved to the glass, which overlooked a chilly metropolis as unconcerned as her suffering. She struggled with anger, hopelessness, and the dread of losing all she had accumulated over the years. However, her greatest resolve was for the new life she now held in her heart, not for herself. Mikhail spoke in a calm but resolute tone. You claim that I am the only one you need, and I get that. But how am I going to cope with this? Given that I am carrying your children and you are cuddling another woman, I would claim that this is not serious if you saw me in the arms of another man. Can you believe it? Are you going to pardon me? I really doubt it. Mikhail dropped his head, speechless. Anna hesitated, using little power she had left. Let's proceed in this manner. I'll act as though I didn't see anything. However, you will never again dare to do it. He gave a nod. A mixture of relief and embarrassment entered his gaze. Anya, I concur. I promise we should begin anew. As though this horror had never occurred. Despite her best efforts to smile, Anna's heart was not at rest. Like a scar that would never completely heal, she knew that this moment would always be a part of her. Despite the anguish that still ached in her chest, she decided to keep the family together for the sake of the future, and the children who were already a part of her. Her heart was still tight with anguish, like a wound that she attempted to keep hidden even from herself, but Anna forced a smile. Searching for at least a hint of the warmth that had once bonded them together forever, she gazed into Mikhail's eyes. She felt that she needed to find strength in herself, not for herself, but for the new life that was already starting to blossom inside of her, even if the betrayal still stung her spirit. Quietly, she murmured, "Of course, Misha, let's start over." Despite her trembling voice, she seemed determined. "Do you know why I came to you in the middle of the workday? Moreover, I have a reason for it." Mikhail shook his head in bewilderment, still pale from the recent discussion. I apologize, I didn't even ask Anya. Has something taken place? Strangely enough, she was moved by the concern in his voice. Anna stopped, allowing the stillness to linger. Despite everything, she was reminded of the moments when he had been her entire world by the flash of fear in his eyes. It happened, she replied at last, a faint grin flickering over her lips. Mikhail took a step closer and said, Don't scare me twice, Anya. He raised his voice. Something wrong with the car? Are you okay? Misha calmed down. She lightly patted his arm, in an apparent attempt to soothe herself as well as him. The automobile is okay, but I'm not completely sure about it. She gathered her strength and became silent once more. Tears flooded her eyes, but they were tears of hope as much as grief. Misha, I am pregnant. There will be 4 of us in 7.5 months. Or perhaps even 5 if we end up getting the dog of your dreams. Mikhail stopped. His face glowed with a mix of surprise and delight. 4. How is that possible, Anya? His voice faltered and he appeared so vulnerable, almost like a boy, at that very moment. Anna murmured, We're having twins. And her voice cracked. 2 babies, Misha. Our happiness will be doubled. She approached him and gave him a hug in spite of the anguish still pulsing in her chest. Even though her hands were shaking, she drew herself close to her husband as though she was clinging to him, their family and their future. Mikhail gave her a hug in return. Anna's eyes began to well up with tears of relief and the weight of forgiving others at that same time. She gave him a kiss that represented both her internal conflict and the possibility of a new life. She could still hear Aunt Nadia's remarks about choice and how only she could determine her own fate in her heart. And Anna made her decision based on her strength rather than her weakness. 2 small hearts were already beating inside her, and she was strong for their sake. She clung to Mikhail and thought, let others do what they want. Family is my choice. I need a father who will be there for my kids. And even if my heart hurts, I will stop at nothing to ensure that they grow up in love. This sad but determined thinking gave her the courage to stand here, grasp his hand, and have faith that they can overcome this for the sake of their future and their children. Time went along. She gave birth to 2 healthy children, a girl and a boy, called Sophia and Daniil, on a sunny spring day. Anna found unending joy in their little hands and dependable gaze, which even overcame the lingering resentment of her past. Mikhail appeared to be reborn after hearing about the twins. His world completely changed when he learned that he would soon become the father of 2 children. He ceased seeking comfort elsewhere, giving his wife his whole attention and getting ready for a new life. The scars in Anna's heart were gradually healed by his genuine and profound caring. She saw him transform. He changed from a bewildered man caught in a mistake to a loving husband and soon-to-be parent, who would stop at nothing to protect his family. Despite the difficulties they had faced, Anna believed that their love had become stronger. Anna took the decision to keep her self-promised goal when Daniil and Sophia were 3 months old. In addition to giving her hope, Aunt Nadia's comments enabled her to make the most significant decision of her life, and she wanted to go back to that hamlet to thank her. Anna left with her infants in a car seat and their pictures on a sunny fall day. When Mikhail offered to accompany her, she politely declined. This was her own trip, her way of giving thanks and turning the page on the past. Compared to that nervous day when Anna initially visited the fortune teller, the journey to the village appeared to be shorter. Even though Aunt Nadia's house was still packed, Anna was no longer afraid or doubtful. Holding an album of pictures of the infants, she waited her turn and went inside the cool, comfortable room she knew so well. As though she had been waiting for a long time, Aunt Nadia, who was still as frail and had a sharp gaze, greeted her with a loving smile. She said, "Baby, I knew you'd come back," before Anna could say anything. With tears in her eyes, Anna opened the book and gave it to Aunt Nadia, saying, "And I see that you're not alone. Show me your little ones." She studied the pictures of Sophia and Daniil. Her eyes glowed warmly. Whispering, "How bright yours are," she said. "Girl, you made the proper decision. I can tell that happiness has suddenly filled your heart." "Thank you." Anna's tone faltered. "What you said. In addition to helping me become pregnant, they also helped me realize that I wanted to keep the family intact. You were correct. I made the decision. And now I have my spouse and kids. He is no longer the same person he once was. I really am pleased. Aunt Nadia gave a nod. Her eyes were full of warmth and knowledge. You followed the path on your own. I only pointed it out to you. Anna, you are strong. And now all of your dreams have come true. Look after this joy. Although it is delicate, you know how to keep it safe. From her purse, Anna pulled a little bundle. A cozy scarf she had crocheted herself, and placed it on the table. Please take this from me even though I am aware that you don't charge. Only as an expression of appreciation. Aunt Nadia gave her hand a little squeeze while grinning. Go, sweetheart, and don't return. You are no longer in need of my assistance. Now you can do it on your own. Feeling lighter than she had in years, Anna walked out of the home. She grinned as she climbed into the car and glanced at the infants dozing in their car seats. She thought about Mikhail on the drive back, how he looked at her with the affection she had previously feared she would lose, and how he kissed Daniil and Sophia every morning before work. She was incredibly grateful to Aunt Nadia and to herself for having the fortitude to forgive, to believe, and to create the family she had always envisioned.